Welcome to A Pair of Bookends, the book club you can carry anywhere. I'm your host, Hannah MacDonald, and I'll be bookending the conversation with some of the most exciting voices from the bookish world. For our July book club episode, I am joined by one of my all-time favourite writers, who also happens to be one of my bestest friends, Emma Hinds, to discuss her latest adult novel and our July book club pick, The Quick and the Dead. Emma is a queer writer from Manchester who I met when I was brought on board as an actor in one of her amazing plays, The Boundary. Since then, I've worked with Emma multiple times in theatre, both as an actor in her plays, and we've been able to co-write a piece together for theatre. Also managed to convince Emma to join me as co-host over on our Patreon part of the podcast, so please do join us over there. Links are in the show notes. And aside from all of that, she is one of my best friends, so there's that. As well as writing plays, Emma is the author of multiple books in her past life exploring theology. Emma wrote an essay in Tarantino and Theology published by Grey Matter Books, and co-wrote the book Ineffable Love, Christian Themes in Good Omens, which was published by Darton, Longman and Todd. Since then, Emma has published 2 novels. Their debut, The Knowing, was published by Bedford Square last year. It was a Sunday Times Historical Fiction Book of the Month and received praise from The Guardian, Red Magazine and Diva Magazine, which is only right as Emma is in fact a diva. In October this year, Emma will be publishing the first in their YA fantasy series Witch Law, which is available for pre-order both in the UK and the US. Links in show notes, thank you. Today, Emma is here to talk about her second adult novel, The Quick and the Dead, which is out now in paperback. Welcome, Emma, to A Pair of Bookends. Yeah. We finally got you back. Finally arranged.
I know.
This very important chat.
It's like I should write books quicker or something.
No, it's almost like I'm a terrible friend who... This book was published back in January. In hardback, and it's took me until July to read said book, so that's shocking from me.
It's much more manageable in paperback though. Like it looks so short in paperback. I know that sounds really weird.
Yeah, but it has got gorgeous covers on both. Like I did love the hardback, but it's almost like too beautiful to touch. But we're not here to talk about your cover as much as I would love to, because it is beautiful. We are here to get into your writing.
Yeah.
But as I do like to open on all book club episodes, what are you currently reading?
Okay.
Yeah.
I am reading Kink Stories, edited by R.O. Kwon and Garth Greenwell.
Amazing. I don't know why I thought it was... Who did I think was involved in this? Roxane Gay is involved in this. That's why I thought I'd put it together.
So some of the contributors are Roxane Gay, Brandon Taylor, Carmen Maria Mercado, Garth Greenwell.
Melissa Fabos, who I listened to a really great episode of a podcast the other day talking about her memoir. But are you enjoying it?
Yeah, definitely. I like Garth Greenwell a lot. He wrote What Belongs to You.
Yes.
Which I have right there.
Yeah.
Which I liked a lot. I really enjoy Brandon Taylor. I really enjoy Carmen Maria Mercado. So,
and I also have R.O. Kwon's novel Exhibit, I think it's called, at home, ready for you to borrow.
Yeah, love that.
Given point. Let's dive into The Quick and the Dead, shall we?
Book. Let's talk about
Shall
the
we
book.
do it? It's been long enough. So, to start with, do you want to give a little elevator pitch if you're
This is
not
hilarious.
out?
Like, I have not done...
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, so this came out at the beginning of this month. And
in paperback.
In paperback. And I've not done any promo for it since January.
So no pressure.
I've literally forgotten about it. What I always said was it's about 2 very queer characters in Tudor England.
Queer? Do you write books about queer characters?
Running around doing gay shit with magic and alchemy.
So any of your books then?
Yeah, basically. So
queer divas making magic is the synopsis for
queer
all of
divas.
Emma's stuff.
Queer divas.
Okay.
I can do a proper synopsis.
If you want to.
With, like, so people actually know what it's about.
Yeah, you can do that.
So it's set in 1597, which is the reign of Elizabeth I. And the setting, unusually for me, is London.
Yeah.
particularly Southwark, which at that time in history was like kind of considered like a den of iniquity. It was like where all of the poor people of London kind of washed up. It was outside of the city. It was where, because it was outside of the city, it meant like all of the fun was happening there. Yeah. So like all of the theatres were there, all of the bear baiting was there, all of the gambling was there, all of the brothels were there, and so like all of life was there. This is where Shakespeare was like writing and performing, and where Marlowe had been until a few years before. And it's like this big mixing pot of like immigrants and culture and everybody from around the world, and people who were poor in the country have come to the city to try and build their lives. And into this big mixing pot, I have these two teenage characters, or teenagers early in their early 20s. I have Kit Skevy, who is a thief and a brawler. So that means he like fights for pay. And I have Marina Elgin, who used to be a sailor. She was disguised as a boy for all of her childhood to be a sailor, and then through a tragic circumstance could no longer be that. And now she is a pickpocket and makes her kind of living doing that. And they're both under a gang lord. During that time, gang culture was really rife. And they are like generally having pretty shit lives.
Yeah.
But they have friends and they have a community in Southwark and people who are important to them. And what happens is something inexplicable. They get drawn in through robbing the wrong grave. They get drawn into the world of alchemy, which is a game for kings and magicians, and it throws them into the higher echelons of society.
Yeah.
And they meet these dark and political characters who start to manipulate them and change their lives and make them question who they are.
I think that's an amazing synopsis. Smashed it.
It's not so much a synopsis as a ramble.
No, I love that.
You could not put it on the back of a book.
Fair, but I think it also gives us an insight into your writing process, which I love hearing about. And what I wanted to kind of start off asking you is, obviously you write historical fiction, it is your love, it's kind of what you are drawn towards in terms of what you read. How do you decide when you're going into writing something, what time period you want to write about next? Is it a specific theme? Is it a character that's come to you? Like, yeah, where does that come from?
That's a really good question, because I'm having to I've had to do it this year for my next historical fiction book, is kind of like land somewhere. And generally what I do is like I have a notebook and I have my notes app on my phone.
Yeah.
And like just through life, I'm kind of going along and I'm like saving shit.
Yeah.
Writing shit down all the time. If something like catches my eye on somebody's Tumblr post or something like that about a historical character or a time period, or I read another book that's set in a similar time period and it kind of captures my imagination, I'll I'll jot it down.
Am I completely misquoting? Is it Hilary Mantel that says about magpie?
Yes, it is Hilary Mantel who says about magpie.
Which is completely unsurprising that this is now your process.
It's completely unsurprising.
Anybody would think she's an inspiration.
Yeah, like I found that when I was flying back from the States, I found this note which was like from 2022 on my phone.
Why is alchemy interesting? What is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Are the two connected?
Yeah.
Like, the separate thoughts.
The title of the note on my phone is I don't have any ideas. And the two lines of the note are, why is alchemy interesting? What's wrong with me?
Valid.
And often that's what happens is I'll have like something that's interesting to me and I have to work out why I'm interested.
Yeah.
And then sort of dig in and try and dig down to what parts of it interest me. So for actually, like for reals, where I started with The Quick and the Dead is so far from where it actually ended up.
Yeah.
So like where I started, my sort of flashpoint for The Quick and the Dead was Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe, which I've always been really, really interested in since I did it at school. Shout out to my English teacher, Mr. Underwood Webb, for his excellent Faustus. So I started there, and the first version of this book had Christopher Marlowe in it.
Yeah.
And he is no longer in it, unfortunately, because he's dead by this point. Soz.
But still a feature.
He's in the world.
Yeah.
He's in the world, and he is connected to my characters. But he was way more prominent.
Yeah.
He was way more prominent. So for people who like come and read this book, the character Griffin was in an original version of this was like, that was my Marlowe character.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I know how important research is to you, and I mean, it has to be for historical fiction writers, doesn't it? And what I really love is, of course, I love reading people's books, but I also love when you get to the end of their book and there'll be like an author's note, or there'll be a lot in the acknowledgements, and you'll get to see like an insight into what that process was like for them. So do you want to share a little bit about what the research process was like for you and where you've kind of got your bits of information from? I know that you said about like Dr. Faustus then, but I know that there's been actual places that you've been to that have really helped you.
Yeah. So a lot of this book was written when I was really poorly. So like travel wasn't really as much as a thing. So I wrote nearly all of this book about London without actually spending any time in London because I wasn't able to travel. So what I did, and you can testify to this because you've seen this map, is like I hand drew a map of Southwark and the River Thames and like the locations for my characters because it really helps me to like feel grounded. And I used a lot of like online resources that were available. So shout out to like the Aegis map, which is like an interactive Tudor map that you can use. Cool. And like the Folger Shakespeare Society have like so many resources, and the thing that I used most of theirs was like they have the Elizabethan daily court diaries, so like the diary of what the Queen was doing every single day for like all of her reign. So I could look at the years of like 1593 to 1598 and like see everything that was happening at court, even if it wasn't like directly related to my characters, because they actually don't spend that much time at court. It's kind of like the equivalent of reading the newspaper today. You know, so you can tell what's happening in the world and how it would be impacting the characters.
You can really immerse yourself.
Imagine if you were trying to write, if you were like 300 or 400 years on from now, and you were trying to write a book about today, but say you just didn't have any information about Israel and Gaza. Right? You would have no, like, you needed that information of like what the government is doing and what is like the global crisis and what's happening in the world in order to like really understand your characters. There would be so much you wouldn't understand about our day-to-day lives by not understanding that. So they were great. And then I kind of cheated since I couldn't spend much time in London. I was like, I'm going to set some of it in Manchester.
Which we love.
Yeah, because Manchester has like a really strong Tudor history. So like the oldest library in the country, or the oldest library location is in Manchester. Oh, the Chatham's Library. Chatham's Library is the oldest library in the UK. It's been there for a really, really long time, and is great to like visit and walk around and like really experience what it would have been like. And Dr. John Dee was there for a while, who's a very famous alchemist who appears in the book. So yeah, those were like some of the places that I could bring to life. And I spent a lot of time at Gladstone's, just like using their library because they have a great research library, and writing there is like one of my favourite things to do.
I need to come with you.
Yeah, we should do a trip. Yeah.
What interested you, or what kind of inspired the interest in looking at the world of alchemy? Where did that start?
Oh, I'm just one of those like magic divas. Let's be honest. Like if you're like a kid who grew up reading stories about magic, then alchemy is like, it's like crack. It's like...
But what kind of stories were you reading?
But like any kind of stories.
Anything.
Like any fantasy stories. Any kids who like... If you like... So for instance, you read Philip Pullman. Like alchemy is...
Front and centre.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Anything that involved like potion making, elixirs of life, anything like that. Like the word elixir, just like... Yeah. I mean, alchemy is so interesting to me. But it's also really interesting because it's like, it's a really important stepping stone in terms of like our scientific history and how we understand ourselves in this country, particularly scientifically, compared to other places around the world that maybe didn't have the same kind of like scientific dark ages that we did. So yeah, and also it's just fucking fun, like spells and like
it's just a vibe.
Yeah, and alchemy is obviously, it appears in like a lot of the British great writers of the time that would have influenced my characters. So like Chaucer writes about alchemy, Marlowe writes about alchemy, Shakespeare obviously has like alchemy elements in what he does. He has like a Prospero character. Prospero from The Tempest is like modelled on John Dee. And yeah, it's just, it's just like catnip. I just can't get enough.
Love that.
Yeah.
Should we get into your characters?
Yes. We are doing a spoilery version of it. I'm so sick of doing interviews where I can't really talk about what goes on in the book. So you guys be warned.
I don't feel like you're going to do like major spoilers.
But then I might though.
Okay, you can't be trusted.
I can't be trusted. I just want to talk about it, but like actually talk about it rather than be like, we can't talk about that because it will give it away. It's been out for 6 months.
It has. So the story begins, we've got, you mentioned Griffin before.
Yeah.
We've got Kit, your main character, and also Mariner is your main character. Is probably their voices that are at the forefront for the whole book.
The whole book is told from either Kit's or Mariner's point of view.
And they're not blood related.
No.
But life has brought them together for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And they've created their own kind of family dynamic.
Yeah.
And it's almost like found family is something that features...
What?
But do you think found family is something that will always feature in your work?
I don't know. I think I really.
Do you realise you're doing it?
Yeah, I really firmly believe that you write something until you've written it out of yourself.
Nice.
And so, like with the knowing, and with everything that I was because I'm not just in the past. It's not just been novels; it's been plays as well. But like with the knowing, I feel like I was very much like writing about rape. And writing it over and over.
Yes.
Until it kind of was done.
Yeah.
And I've been writing found family, for a little while as well. Yeah. And I'm writing it over and over until it's kind of out of my system. Another one is like memory. I write about memory so much.
Why do you think that is?
Because I have a problem. Because I have a problem.
I have issues.
Well, from like a really honest point of view, because like I have an experience of like repressing traumatic memories. So I'm like very interested in what the mind is capable of.
Yeah.
And so I write that over and over again, like to the point that like my second witch lore book, my friend who has like read everything and has read the draft was like, oh look, someone forgot something. Here we go again. And I'm like, okay.
If anybody hears like me laughing at things like this and thinks that I'm being kind of insensitive, this is just our dynamic that like we both know everything there is to know about each other, and I think we've kind of it's not new information to us. So having to give this to podcast listeners, it's like, well, we already know this. This is
our chaos. Yeah. So I think I'm just writing it out. I'll continue to write it out, and but also I think like when you write queer historical stories, you are writing about family. I also like secret though, not secret, but like pretty obvious when you think about it. I think I'm just like a chicken who like I know
where is this going?
I know that like I will write about family one day, but like obviously as soon as you're a writer and you write about family, like blood family, then all of your blood family, their ears like prick up, and they're like, are you writing about us?
What does this mean?
What does this mean?
Is this play about us?
Is this play about us? Exactly. So I think I'm just like putting it off. I'm just like kicking the can down the road.
No, that's valid.
I'm just trying to avoid that call where your mum is just like, what the fuck have you done?
Don't. I've had to have that conversation with my mum before, and it's just not ideal. It's not the
one.
We're
just kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favourite quotes is on this topic, and it's Mariner, I think. Yeah, it has to be Mariner, saying, she does not like her life particularly, but Kit is the thing that makes it bearable.
Yeah. Mariner does not have a great time. She's like my little baby gay.
Baby gay.
Yeah, she's my little baby gay. And yeah, she has a particularly rough ride of being in a female body in Tudor England.
Yeah.
And she has a lot of self-perception, and she knows that she loves women, and that she has a lot of the same urges that are like associated with men.
Yeah. Because
she's been brought up as a boy, so she doesn't like, I think for a lot of women in those time periods there might have been a sense of like you don't know what you don't miss what you can't know that you're missing, right? So
well, I think gender roles and the sort of societal expectations that come with that affect both Kit and Mariner.
Yeah, pretty intensely.
Yeah, massively. And is it Kit that says, or is it Kit that is it Mariner says, referencing Kit, it matters not what's between your legs if you can cut
Yeah.
off what's between theirs.
Yeah, that's something that Kit says to Mariner, because she has a rough time. She is, full context, they are both kept by this gang lord called Will Twentyman, who is like a fun villain for me to write, but horrible for everybody else to read. And the way that it worked in those days is that basically it was kind of weird, but it was sort of like if you're a teenager, you had to get a job, and it's the equivalent of being as soon as you're 12, being right, you have to get a job, you have to get an apprenticeship, or you have loads of money and it doesn't matter. But say you're like us, you'll be right, you're going to start working at Greg's, age 12, and then Greg's owns you, basically. Yeah. Greg's owns you until you either become a good enough baker at Greg's that Greg's are tell you what, why don't you go up and set up a little baker shop down the road, be Greg's 2.0, and that'll be fine. Or another baker comes along and goes, hey, I'm Greg's, I want to buy out Hannah the baker. Hannah the baker will come work for me and learn more baking skills, and then maybe Hannah the baker will kind of set up on her own, right? Yeah. That's the structure of society, and if you're outside of it, then you're a vagrant, so you're homeless, you're jobless, and that's punishable by law. So they can just put you in prison for not having a job.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's nice, isn't it? Yeah. A masterless vagrant is they can just be I'm just going to beat you publicly. 20 lashes, let's go for it. So if you are very poor, you are very vulnerable. Yeah. Especially if you have no family to protect you or speak up for you, and you don't have a good master. They don't have a good master. His deal is that he makes all of the young people under him do crime. And
doing crime.
They are gay and they do crime. But yeah, Mariner is in this situation where she's being kept by this person as a thief because she's very light-fingered, she's very good at it, she dresses as a boy, she blends into the crowd, she's a real talent in this area, but she's surrounded by boys and men who are very sexually aggressive towards her. Yeah. So Kit's advice is just stab people, basically. Just literally use weapons.
Yeah, valid.
To survive the situation.
Yeah. There's a couple of things with Mariner, and I'm just going to constantly quote your work back to you. All right. That's how it is, sorry. On the topic of Mariner, there's a quote here: as long as she had a cock, they would look at her like a person. Mm-hmm. And I think you mentioned this before about she lives as a lad, as a sailor, on a boat. Yeah. And the thing that gives her away is when she has her first period. Yes. And this line, Emma, because you're so good at descriptive language, you can really immerse us in what that world feels like in the most sensory ways. He thinks of Mariner smelling like a butcher's shop once a month.
Yeah. That's Kit describing... Yeah, so Kit and Mariner, for the context, Kit and Mariner are not romantically involved. They are brother and sister, but they live in poverty, so they share very close quarters. Yeah. And yes, that is how Kit understands women who have their periods.
But it really helps you understand that world, because I know some people might be turning their nose up at periods, get a grip, but the world would have been very different then. They wouldn't have had sanitary products, would they?
No, not in the way that we have them today. So they would build something out of napkins and pins.
I think they call it she's given a rag when she has her first one, doesn't she? Yeah. So
it's they would build something that they could wear under their skirts. But also the other thing is that if your flow wasn't too heavy, they wore lots and lots of skirts. So it wasn't women didn't wear underwear in the way that we wear something that's enclosed.
Got you.
So the most common thing to do would be to wear a red skirt underneath all your other skirts. That could potentially just kind of,
So
hide.
if you're walking along, it would just...
Yeah, I mean, most people don't bleed that much.
Okay.
If you think about during the day how much the average person might bleed during a menstrual cycle, they were used to having fluids.
I absolutely love that we've got into this.
Yeah, so they would build kind of for the best it's a kind of a nappy maybe situation for themselves, if they were having a particularly heavy flow, or they would take to bed. Okay. But if you were working lass, you can't
God,
really do
I wish we could do that now.
Yeah, you can't take to bed. You've got to make it work. So you might have your little contraption set up. They also use like more other natural products. So women in those days used like natural sponge that you could get from like the sea, from the ocean. Like different, like different sponges, like actually a natural product.
Got you. Yeah.
So they would get that shipped in, and they would use it both for contraception and for helping with bleeding. So they would like put it inside, and it would absorb. But you could also dip it in like tansy oil or vinegar, and whores would use that as like a contraceptive method. Not necessarily super effective, but another thing they might use is like wool, like sheep's wool, and put that inside. So there were like rudimentary tampon stuff going on, Girls find a way. Girls find a way.
We find a way.
Girls find a way.
I love this. See, this is what I love, getting into all the
historical nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kit.
My baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the opening scene is Kit being whipped.
Yes.
And Kit, I don't think this is even a spoiler.
It's not
Kit
a spoiler,
is
it's on the
unable
back.
to feel pain.
Yeah.
And has a real curiosity for what that must feel like, because it's an experience that he doesn't have and therefore can't comprehend, and often trials different things in order to try and feel it. Your experience of pain
is completely different.
Is completely different to Kit's.
Yeah.
So what drew you to exploring what Kit's experience might have been like?
I don't know, maybe just like oh God, it would be really nice if I didn't feel anything. It'd be really nice if I wasn't in chronic pain.
Well, not to sound completely ignorant, but is this actually a genuine thing that there are people that can't?
Yeah, there are. So it's a particular type of like nerve dysfunction. It's something that some people are born with, which means that you can't feel pain. And the way that presents is very often like people, they can tell the difference in pressure.
Okay.
So sometimes they can tell more pressure, less pressure. They can tell sometimes with heat, more hot, more cold. Okay. But they don't feel the extremes. And it's obviously a very destructive disease or illness or condition to live with. Like I read a lot about it, and there's not loads of research on it because it's so interesting and difficult to kind of research. Yeah. And it varies quite broadly. Yeah. So you'll have like some kids who it's like they literally like they nearly scratch like their own eyes out, because they don't have any of those pain sensitivities. Yeah. And you can't teach a child not to do those things without pain. So it's really common that children like break bones, and like get burns and scars very, very young because they don't have this sensitivity to pain to protect themselves. So it's really interesting to look at. The reason I was looking at it specifically is because I was looking into alchemy and into the idea of the alchemical child, and the alchemical child being perfect. And then I was thinking about like what would it mean to be perfect, like to be free of, and perfection in kind of the world of alchemy is often equated with like no disease, no sickness. And I was like, well, maybe no pain, but like what's the reality of a painless existence? And then so I started looking into what it means to live without pain, and that took me down a really interesting corridor, because something that research can't really tell us yet is how people who don't experience pain experience emotional pain. Because if you're a person who never has it, you can't talk about what you don't have. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I read this really interesting like interview with this family where their teenager can't feel pain and is in a relationship, and they were kind of talking about like breakups and emotional stuff, and the parents are kind of like, we don't know if they break up how she's going to feel. Yeah. It's not happened yet. Yeah. And we don't understand how she's going to process grief, or how she's going to process pain, like emotional pain, and how it's actually going to feel in her body. But she's also not going to be able to tell us necessarily because she doesn't have a frame of reference. So that was really interesting to me. And then I started dealing with Kit through this lens of he can't experience physical pain, but he starts to learn about emotional pain. And how it's different for him.
Something that I was really interested in the book is that you explore how closely linked pain and pleasure
Yeah.
can be, which I hadn't really deeped it before. Like I hadn't really, really sat with that thought. And I was wondering if I could get you to read. This is quite far in the book.
Reading. She wants me to read the sex scene, everybody.
That's
Is
it a sex scene?
No, it's on the way. It's on the way.
It's on the way. Maybe from this bit, do you think?
Okay, so in this scene, Lazarus has been in a fight. Lazarus and Kit have been in a fight.
And just give us quickly who Lazarus is.
Lazarus is trouble. Lazarus is probably like my most indulgent character that I've ever written, I think.
I love this.
He is like everything complicated and grey area, and what Tumblr loves to call like a morally grey character.
Yeah.
But really, when we say that, we mean like a morally grey character that everybody wants to fuck.
Book Talk would go feral for Lazarus.
Yeah, Lazarus is Lazarus is the son of an alchemist. He is an alchemist himself. He develops an acquaintance with Kit because his father develops an interest in Kit, but we can just say his dad kidnaps him. It's not very nice. And Lazarus is involved in that process, and him and Kit, it's not quite a simple, I would say, enemies to lovers thing, because you're never quite sure if they ever stop being enemies.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it so indulgent for me, because I like to write people who are really fucking difficult. But in this scene, Lazarus and Kit have been in a fight. Lazarus has a hunchback. He's physically disabled, and he is in pain from the fight. So Kit is noticing that he's in pain, and here we go. Kit has an urge to touch it. He reaches out a tentative hand, and Lazarus goes still, watching him cautiously as he gently sets a hand on Lazarus's sloped shoulder. His robe has fallen back off it. The collar of the doublet is ripped open. Kit can see a patch of bare skin that seems to be moulded higher than the other. Despite bedding him, Lazarus never removed his shirt. Kit runs a thumb with a firm pressure against it, and Lazarus grunts softly, an exhalation of sound. Kit looks at him in astonishment. "That was a good sound," he frowns. "You said it hurt." "It does, but there is bad pain and good pain." Lazarus smiles, and for a moment it almost looks fond. The muscles are tense from overworking. They struggle to compensate. With a firm touch in the right place, there is pain, but there is also release. Kit stares at him. No one has ever spoken about pain in this way to him before, less of a fact and more of an element capable of transmutation into other properties. How does one become another? It depends on many things: pressure, constitution. Kit keeps rubbing his thumb against the firm, taut skin until Lazarus's hand catches his wrist right at the pulse point. The person. Their eyes meet. Pain is truly so much like pleasure, then, that it can be worked toward and away from. Maybe other people need to feel the edge of pain just as the edge of pleasure. Maybe Lazarus is one of those people, and here they are, drifting on the water with the shadows of the marshland trees, sending them into deep darkness.
Beautiful.
Red.
I just love that section because, like I said, it's not something I'd really considered before about how closely linked those things are. That's my thought.
Revelations.
Yeah, a revelation. I want to ask you again. I'm coming at you with a quote. I love the quotes. I mean, I love your writing. It's no surprise to anybody.
You're so sweet.
We all do what we must to survive. What does that phrase mean for your characters?
It means that you're going to go through fucking hell first.
And it's an Emma Hinds piece of work, so are we surprised?
Yeah. Are we shocked? Literally nobody is. I think also, I think something that interests me is like the selfishness inherent in survival. And sometimes people are very selfish about their own survival. I think in this book, like Lazarus and Elodie, who is Mariner's love interest in this book, are very like, it's in their bones to be selfish about their own survival, and it's the selfishness that's kind of like born out of the way that they've been brought up and the cruelty that they've experienced, but also like it comes with like a huge whopping sense of entitlement. Like they do not believe that they have anything to gain from making the world better for other people. So for them, survival is pure selfishness. Whereas for Kit and Mariner, from the beginning, they believe in like survival that's based in community. So like they believe in, well, they witnessed, because of the way that they live and the reality that they've lived in, that like when the person who they're connected with, like their family, they know that there's power in the bonds between one another, found family, and they know that there's strength and survival in building a small community and hanging on to people and having people to support you and back you. And part of their journey is like they get pulled into this other mode of survival that Lazarus and Elodie have, which comes with a lot of money, and is kind of like Lazarus can survive probably pretty much anything because he is so well financed and well connected. Like, whereas Kit, he relies on the people around him to help him survive. So yeah, there's lots of like questions about how different people survive and what it means to survive in a world which is very hierarchical, and brutal.
Yeah, the punishments are so different in that era.
Yeah, the punishments feel well different. Yeah, but also so much of it stays the same. Like, something that I think is really interesting is like Kit and Mariner, they can be killed for like stealing a loaf of bread. Like, let's just use the Jean Valjean thing. They can be killed for stealing a loaf of bread, and that like technically goes all the way up. But Lazarus and Elodie, they have so much money and so much influence, it almost doesn't matter what they do. Even at the highest levels, even at the most treasonous levels, even though like you can still be executed for treason in the Elizabethan period, which makes people think like, oh, it's really bad and the punishments are awful. And yes, that is right, but there's so much that nobody's going to give a shit what you do. Like, you can hurt so many people, you can, desolate lives, and nobody's going to turn their head. And it's pretty similar today. So
I think you write characters so well, and I'm aware, because of the time that I keep for these episodes, that I can't get into the nitty-gritty of every single character. But is there a character that we haven't spoken about that you want to mention? That maybe you had fun writing, or that you particularly liked their journey, or...
I mean, I'm very fond of Elodie, but I think...
Really?
Yeah, I think, like, actually, I don't know if I was going to... If I had another 10,000 words to put on this book, or another 20,000 words, I think a lot of it would go to Elodie.
Okay.
I think because of the length of it and because of how much plot is in it. So it's like an adventure. It has a very adventurous structure, and I think that sometimes doesn't leave as much space for the characters as I would give them. But I think I would give like a lot more words to Elodie to kind of I don't know, flesh her out, make her even more complicated than she is, because she does get a pretty solid villain verdict.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm not her biggest fan.
Yeah, not loving.
But if you want to know why, you'll have to read the book. Yeah. So my last question for you, I'm going to flip your own question back at you. That when you are interviewing people, you ask this question.
You've been like, yeah, I've noticed this. I
love this question, so I'm going to steal it from you. And it is, what would the cultural family tree for this book be?
Yeah, good question. That's a good question.
Came from you?
In terms of novels, there are some very clear ones that I put in the author's note, particularly Wolfhall by Hilary Mantel, Dissolution by C.J. Sampson, but also Dark Fire by C.J. Sampson, which are part of his sort of Tudor detective series. But Dark Fire is about alchemy particularly, so I found that very helpful. Mercurius as well, which is another book by, oh god, I can see his name from here, but I can't remember. Mercurius by Patrick Harper. In terms of the other side of this, the very obviously influenced by the drama of the period. So Christopher Marlowe and Dr. Faustus was kind of one of the biggest things, but also the other works of Marlowe and some Chaucer, and also in its way, even though it's set before the play was written, The Tempest by Shakespeare, and then like dramatic retellings of those that I've seen, either in movies or so like the movie Shakespeare in Love.
Yes.
Very big kind of connection. There's also a movie called On Beauty.
It's not linked to Zadie Smith's book, is it? At all? No.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do a Google.
That's okay.
Take into the Google. Okay, it's not called On Beauty. It was called Stage Beauty.
Okay.
Stage Beauty, yeah, which came out in 2004. Stage Beauty was a really like formative movie for me anyway, but this is the outline for it. A female theatre dresser creates a stir and sparks a revolution in 17th century London theatre by playing Desdemona in Othello. And so it's about this female woman who makes all the costumes, because like men can't be on stage, women can't be on stage, but it's also about the young male actor who always plays all the women's roles. So there's this conflict between her. She wants to come and play Desdemona. He always plays Desdemona.
Okay.
And it's they're like they have this romance, but it's really queer and it's kind of platonic, but it's also conflicting and it's very gay and it's so many feelings. And I saw it when I was at university, and I think it just has lived in my brain ever since then.
Love that.
As like this Tudor queer theatrical exploration of like sexuality and queering gender roles. And that's those are kind of the big ones of the cultural family tree that makes up this book. And also all of like the music of Thomas Tallis, who was a composer around that time. And weirdly, all of the music of Biffy Clyro, who were a very contemporary band.
Interesting.
But like for all of like Lazarus's and Kit's scenes, there was like a couple of Biffy Clyro songs that I would just play on repeat.
Love that.
For that. There's like a line from Biffy Clyro about being still caught in your gravity, which was like my image for them, this like feeling that they were always being like caught and gravitationally pulled back together. So it drove, when I say it drove John mad, I had my headphones on, but he was still like, he was playing the same song over and over. I can still hear it. Can you stop, please? So that's that.
There's lots of amazing recommendations there, and I normally do finish on a recommendation, but we are about to record a summer reading guide episode, so
we have so many recommendations.
So you can find us over on that upcoming bonus episode. But also Emma's given lots of amazing recommendations. Where can the listeners find you online, Emma? Obviously I'm going to pop links in the show notes to buy The Knowing and The Quick and the Dead if you've not already got those. And to also
pre-order Witchlaw.
Hell yeah. So
Witchlaw is coming out in October. It is my first YA novel. For those who follow me in fanfic, it's like the most of my books that I've written so far, it's the most like the style of the fanfic.
Yes.
So for fanfic readers, it's definitely the one. And it is.
And your fanfic is hugely popular. I didn't mention that in the intro, but it's like insanely popular.
Only with the gays. But Witchlaw is coming in October, and compared to like a lot of my other two books, it is, I would say, lighter. Okay. It still deals with like heavy stuff, but it's quippier, it's funnier, it's sillier, it's rompier. It's a contemporary setting with queer teenage witches and shapeshifters going on a romp around Manchester.
In Manchester, baby.
In Manchester, Northern City. We love it. We love to see it.
We love to see it.
We love to see it. So I'm really excited for people to meet those characters and fall in love with them, hopefully.
Amazing. So pre-order Witchlaw.
Yes.
ASAP, and they can find you online on Instagram.
I do have a website, but that's kind of it.
It is very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm on Instagram at elfreads, ELPH reads, and that's where I chill. I'm also like around on Tumblr. You can find me just by glancing into the void, I guess. I just throw shit around on that, and I'm on AO3 obviously as well. But that's me. I'm not really in any of the other spheres.
Love that. Love that so much. So go give Emma a follow. Go buy every single one of her books, and come and tell us over on Instagram your thoughts on The Quick and the Dead. We'd love to know what you thought. I am suitably traumatised.
You're traumatised, yeah.
No, I'm not. I really enjoyed this. I actually think the knowing traumatised me more.
I think it's got...
Surprisingly.
I think this has a happy ending.
Yeah, I think you tested me a couple of times, but you came through.
I know, right?
So I was quite impressed. I actually said to Faye at work today, like,
happy ending.
there wasn't as many character deaths.
Not as many people die in this one.
So it's a success.
Yeah. Love
that I survived this book. Anyways, go buy Emma's books, go give Emma a follow, and if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And if you want to give me a follow, you can do so at A Pair of Bookends Pod on Instagram and at A Pair of Bookends on Twitter and TikTok.
Yes, do.
That is all we've got time for. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.